Putin Bad News. According to Zelensky, the counteroffensive should have begun much earlier, in order to counteract the Russian defenses. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said in an exclusive interview with CNN aired on Wednesday that the country's counteroffensive has been slowed down by entrenched Russian defenses and that he wished Western weapons deliveries had allowed it to begin much earlier. Zelensky told CNN's Aaron Burnett in Odessa that his military can't even think of starting attacks in some parts of the country because it lacks the relevant weapons. "I'm grateful to the US as the leaders of our support," he said to Burnett through a translator, "but I told them as well as the European leaders that we would like to start our counteroffensive earlier, and we need all the weapons and materiel for that. Why? Because getting started later will make progress slower." The Ukrainian leader also noted that the counteroffensive had slowed down due to difficulties on the battlefield. "My preference was for our counteroffensive to begin much sooner, as it is common knowledge that more of our territory will be mined if it does not begin until later. By doing so, we allow our adversary the opportunity to lay additional mines and fortify their defensive positions." Ukrainian officials have said repeatedly that the counteroffensive has begun but that the real push hasn't started yet. Last month, Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar warned that the main strike was still to come. However, Zelensky warned Burnett that time is the enemy in whichever direction Ukraine decides to attack. "It will be more challenging for us if we wait until later to begin." Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, the president has repeatedly pleaded with Western governments to provide Kyiv with more advanced weaponry, such as the US-made long-range Army tactical missile systems. "With this, in some directions it will give us an opportunity to start the counteroffensive," he explained. "Since we lack the necessary weapons, we can't even consider starting it in some directions. It would be inhumane to just throw our people in front of Russian long-range weapons and let them die." His call for F-16 fighter jets made in the USA was also reiterated. The US has given its allies permission to begin training Ukrainian pilots to fly these planes, but has not yet authorized the re-export of these planes to Ukraine. Not even having an aerial advantage over the Russians is irrelevant, Zelensky argued. "To be fair, that's all this is about. The F-16s aid not only the military but also civilians in their progress. Without aerial protection, it is extremely challenging. People are wondering, where is Putin now?" Burnett's interview with Zelensky is extremely timely, coming as it does after Wagner's armed rebellion in Russia last month and weeks into the Ukrainian counteroffensive. On June 23, paramilitary group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin launched an uprising that would prove to be the greatest challenge to Russian President Vladimir Putin's rule in the past 2 decades. And Zelensky told CNN that Putin will be trying to consolidate his society. He added that the Russian leader had been noticeably absent from public view ever since the undisclosed deal struck in the Kremlin put an end to Wagner's anarchic uprising. "Where did Putin go after all these events?" says Zelensky. "He hardly ever appears on the sidewalk. He is always present when we visit his offices and the like, but we rarely see him in public." He said information gathered by the Ukrainian government showed that the Kremlin was gauging public opinion on Prigozhin. Prigozhin had the backing of roughly half of the Russian population. According to Zelensky, 50% of Russians backed Putin. To put it another way, some of the Russian regions were balancing in the meantime without knowing for sure who to support. "I enjoy my time alone with my music." There's no denying that Zelensky's job is a stressful one. He is leading the war effort, inspiring his people and his allies, and dodging almost constant attempts on his life. Telling Burnett, "I'll be honest with you," he meant it. "As Putin does now in his underground bunker, if I were thinking about it constantly I would just shut down." Zelensky claims he is unfazed by the persistent death threats. "You can lock yourself up like an animal and live in fear that any moment now you'll be killed. My security detail's job, of course, is to figure out how to stop this from happening. I try not to dwell on it." Zelensky, speaking to Burnett in English, said that he enjoys his time alone. I enjoy time alone when I listen to music or read. And first thing in the morning, when there's still darkness and no one around. Simply reading will do the trick for me. Consider that. And the tunes do help. Burnett inquired as to his preferred genre of music from him. The AC/DC sound is great. Also, being Ukrainian, I naturally have a strong preference for Ukrainian music. That's why you can not only appreciate the music, but also fully comprehend the lyrics. I don't know what anyone's saying in AC/DC. AC/DC has a lot of vigor, which I enjoy. He recommended starting your day with an AC/DC workout at 6 or 7 a.m. to give you energy for all the day.